Well, this is how my class got started. I got this idea for a multidisciplinary course at CU from a couple of experiences. One was from the Conference on World Affairs, which I've been coming to for, 20 years, something like that. And the other is acknowledging the Chancellor's flagship 2030 mission, which stresses the importance of multidisciplinary classes, which kind of leads to a broader liberal arts education, which is what we want here at CU. Since 2008, this kind of education has blossomed in our class, and often after the students leave the class, after they graduate, there's this kind of spin-off that's been happening. There's a church to the south of town that has a little marquee sign on it that's sort of a parody on the Las Vegas deal. It says, "What happens here, leaves here." And that's what's been happening in our class. This time we're heading west with the Bureau of Land Management. What? The Bureau of Land Management? With the help of Patty Limerick of the Center of the American West and 2 retirees from the BLM who now work with the Public Lands Foundation Group. Here's a picture of our usual meeting spot at the Golden City Brewery. We discussed a whole variety of topics, and the PLF made available funding for which we are all grateful. We set up teams made up of students from all these diverse backgrounds and majors, and we created a day-long boot camp and invited some heavyweights who worked with the BLM in high-level roles throughout the West and Alaska. We got to hear from Jim Moon, the guy who literally wrote the book on the history and the evolution of the General Land Office and the Taylor Grazing Act, leading even to the creation of the BLM in 1946. Others that participated were Mike Ferguson, Jim May, Ann Morgan, Bob Moore, Sally Collins, Lyle Laverty, Randy Hayes, and Lee Barco. And all these people plowed through the weather on this snowy morning in February, and we had a great day of conversation and presentations, and the students got to see the people who did the work and how they resolved conflict created by Congress giving the BLM an impossible but necessary job. They had to, on the one hand, lease land to oil interests, and on the other hand, keep the water supply clean. Federal Land Policy and Management Act in 1976 made the rules, and the BLMers woke up every day with a new daunting but really interesting job to do. Conservationists and cattlemen, natural gas wells and sheep herders, fracking and Indian interests colliding, wild horses and environmentalists worried about the land in the West, artists and ecologists bumping heads on the Arkansas. The students gravitated to a variety of topics after learning about what the BLM did and does, and they formed 6 different teams and began researching the following topics: the Horse and Burro Adoption Program, Christo Art Project. Here are some of the students working on the cattle and sheep grazing on BLM land in Wyoming, their description of battles with the Western Watershed Outfit.
You can hear that wind blowing out there. It's a kind of a tough country. It's a hazardous business.
BLM's going to be the whipping boy in that whole process.
Fracking on leased BLM land in the North Fork Valley near Paonia.
It could be just absolutely, completely destroyed by, as one person mentioned today, even the rumor of gas drilling and fracking.
And interviews with the Ute and the Yakima Indians, and the project of the newly minted National Landscape Conservation System, and the interaction of American Indians and their own mission, and Burning Man, which was a big hit with the students, of course.
This project really interesting is that it's a developing story, so we're doing a project on an event that hasn't yet occurred, so every day we're learning more and more about it.
Individuals who may not see themselves as creatives in the world are freed up to bring themselves to the moment and give of themselves whatever that looks like.
We invited many guests to give us ideas. We had videographers Nick Martini and Ian Bowl of Steps Production. Their own videos of extreme skiing are totally inspirational. We got a legal overview and discussed copyright matters with Jill Van Matra of the Atlas Institute.
There is this tension and that there is this fair use analysis. You as filmmakers can benefit.
We had Water Law 101 from attorney Kristen Mosley, who works with companies dealing with large extractive activities in Colorado. We had Meg Moritz.
This is a question I got for you guys. Is that unethical to digitally manipulate a photograph and replace the heads, the real heads, with weasel heads.
And Paul Doherty, who guided us through ethical and technical issues in making videos. We benefited so much from our resident storyboard expert, Dave Underwood. He gave us lots of editing and shooting hints. And our technical wizard, Tim Riggs, who's really been our gear backstop all semester, gave us huge hints. We heard Dick Miller, the person who managed the success of bringing Christo and his art to the Arkansas River, and this is due to happen this coming year. Patty Limerick came to pump us up. She's kind of our den mother. Dai Kato from Japan came to talk about his experience in the West when he was living in Steamboat Springs and gave a talk about conflict resolution, a main ingredient in the activities of the Bureau of Land Management. I want to thank everybody that was involved in making this classwork. First to the Roser Atlas building, to the Atlas Institute, the staff at Atlas, to the Center of American West, to the Public Lands Foundation, to Nicole Poole and Sam Bach, my TAs, and most of all to our brilliant students who make teaching a wonderful pleasure.